Hi, welcome to my new video. In this video I'm going to talk about EndeavorsOS, a Linux distro, a derivative of Arch Linux, made simpler, easier to use, easier to install, with some great tools, etc. Which is a Linux distro more for intermediate users, or for people who are willing to put in more than the average amount of work to get into a Linux distro. What do I mean with this? What can you expect with it? Keep watching this video. Let's go. Now, maybe you wanna work with a rolling release distro. What does that mean? A Linux distro which does not work per versions, like in Windows for example, you open Windows 7, Windows 8, etc., or Fedora or Ubuntu for example, but want to have one continuous version, basically, then Arch Linux or Arch-based systems might be good for you. Now, if you are a complete beginner and have absolutely no experience with Linux, and also you are not the type of user who wants to fiddle around with stuff, then this distro might not necessarily be for you. You can install it in a virtual machine and experiment around with it. That's always a good idea. EndeavorsOS is basically there to have access to all the great things of Arch Linux without all the hassle. And it provides some easy to use tools, some few, and a simplified wiki, which primarily refers to the original Arch wiki, but that's beside the point. Yeah, let's start. When first installing EndeavorsOS, you come into the live boot menu. And this is one great thing of all new Linux distros, that even if you have just checked you use boot USB into the system, the computer, then you have not even installed it, you can still use it. You can still, does this work for me? Does this look great? Is this accessible enough to me? Which, even before you install it, which is way better already than Windows. Now, when you first boot up your system, you come to the first menu. And the first two choices of you are of relevance. I mean, obviously, are you working with an NVIDIA GPU? Use this option. If you do not have a GPU, NVIDIA GPU, use the first one. Simple as that. And then we can already continue. And here we are in the boot menu. Now here you can already, activate the installer. But what I would recommend first of you to do is to update the mirrors. Again, EndeavorsOS is Arch-based but simplifies many processes for you. And then update mirrors again. And here, just press. Now here you can choose between, let's make it bigger, the online and the offline method. If you choose offline, that you only get the KDE desktop, the one we are currently having. If you have the ability to, I would recommend for you to use the online version, because then you get also straight up all the updates, etc. that you would need. I'll choose the online installation process. Now, in my case it's in German, but I mean, you can guess what it's written there, especially if you're working in the current process as mine. There's a welcome page, etc. Here, choose the language of your choice. Then continue, your time zone, your keyboard layout, And here we get to the desktop menu. What I can say is that you are not limited to one desktop. I mean, you can install no desktop, but if you're a beginner, do not do this. What I want to say is, if you choose one of these desktops here, these graphical interfaces, you can also install later on more desktops in parallel of each other. So I would recommend to use Plasma KDE again, because it's the most Windows-like interface, I would say. I mean, you can later on switch between those, it's not a problem. Then we continue. Then I would always recommend to install additional kernel in addition to the main one. It's just, if you should have trouble with the normal Arch kernel, for example, you can always switch to the Arch LTS kernel later on. It's better to have it than to not have it. And yeah, printing support and HB scanner, if you need them, install them. If you do not need them, do not install them. You can also install them later on. So do however you feel. Then yeah, in your case, you have the choice between grub, systemd, because I'm inside a virtual machine. I do not have access to systemd. But you have grub, systemd, and no bootloader. Bootloader, so there's no bootloader option here. Ignore this one. There's no case I can think of where you want this enabled. Either use grub or systemd. There are multiple people saying grub is better than systemd. Many people just saying, it's the other way around. It does not really matter. In my case, I'm working with grub. I had no complications working with grub. There is not really a problem if you choose one over the other. But no bootloader should not be enabled. Either grub or systemd. Then we move on. Yeah, delete hard drive. And the first choice is ext4 or ButterFS. ButterFS being newer and in my opinion better, because you are able to work with compression, with sub volumes. You don't need to know what these are, but ButterFS is more optimized for modern day hardware, for performance, smaller system backups. You don't need to know that right now, but I will later on install Timeshift, and having ButterFS as your file system storage type with Timeshift gives you far greater advantages than ext4. So there, I would highly recommend to use ButterFS and not ext4. Now we have a swap. Swap is offloading your part of your memory onto your hard disk. What I can say is, do you want to work with hibernation on your system? Then yeah, you swap with hibernation. If not, then swap without hibernation. If you have no clue what I have just said, then most likely then you swap without hibernation would be your preferred choice. And here we can see an overview of the settings we've made. If you choose swap with hibernation, you will see that the swap size would be exactly the size of your RAM. If you have without hibernation, it's usually half or just a lower amount than your RAM. Let's continue. Then your username. Yeah, it's a virtual machine, doesn't matter. Then what's the name of your PC? It's PC. And then your password. Whatever you want. This one will be important, but it's not really dramatic because there's an easy way to find out your username and your PC name later on. I will show you. Yeah, use the same password for administrator. If you have no clue what this means, leave it enabled. Then we continue. Then you have a short overview of all the settings. Check these if everything is correct, and then install. And then, yes, I want to install it. And then reboot the system. And now you come to the welcome screen, log in. Yeah. But then you come to the install screen. After the entire installation process, the first thing you should do is, of course, work with the welcome screen. It provides some introductions to you, might be helpful to you. But the first thing you need to do is go to the EndeavorsOS wiki page. Your user, enter your password or your PIN. Now you have the welcome page here, and it's really important. I would really recommend to leave it enabled, especially if you are a beginner, because it gives you an extremely easy access to system updates, etc. I will show you how to do this manually, but just for you to know. And just to be sure, click on all of them. Actualize mirrors list. Check if everything is correct. And then save it. The password. And continue this process. So. And same process here. There's nothing to do because we've installed it online, but just that you have seen it. Configuration of package cleaning. Leave it at weekly, press OK. Password. And here we are. Now we can just close it. Now, what to do next? You can, first of all, open the terminal here. And here you can see a menu. And here you can see user add PC. User is the username. My username is user, so that there's no confusion here. And here is the PC name. I gave it and I named it PC. You will see your username and your computer name. And so before we do anything else, we will just install two things. Do not be confused, it's really easy, but just that you have seen this process, and later on I will show you the documentations, etc. Now you type in sudo. Sudo is the super user command. You can compare it to run as administrator inside of Windows. You press right click, run as administrator. Sudo, you can compare it to this. Sudo Pacman. Pacman is the package manager of Arch-based systems. -s. -s stands for sync, which means to download something. We are using the package manager to download a package. And we download fast fetch. What is fast fetch, you might ask? You will see. Enter your password. Then press clear to clear up the terminal. And then press in fast fetch. And here you can see, let's make it bigger. Your OS name, your host, your Linux kernel, your setup, your CPU, your GPU, your memory, and all that stuff. Let's clear it again. And now we will install, just sudo pacman -s htop. And here you can see the memory we are having. I mean, it's inside a virtual machine, and the amount of swap I do have. Now, for example, if you are working with an 8 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM, 32 GB RAM, and you have chosen this swap with hibernation, then you might see that the maximum amount of RAM and the maximum of amount of swap is the same. In my case, it's not the same because I've chosen without hibernation, just for you to get a rough understanding. I mean, I'm oversimplifying here. Do not be confused. Then we open the Firefox browser and we go to EndeavorsOS. Yeah, Google service is great. EndeavorsOS. So do not translate. So help, wiki page. So again, to show, you have home, news, EndeavorsOS, help. A subcategory of help is wiki. We will go there. Now, do you want to install printer support? You can open this one here. Are you trying to install NVIDIA GPU drivers? You can go there. Now, do you want to make some setups for gaming, for example? Huh? Open in your category, and here you have applications. I mean, just look at that, but now here you can see, for example, do you want to install the Word Manager inside EndeavorsOS? Do you want to install VirtualBox? It gives you Flatpaks tutorials, I'm sorry, read more, and it gives you the different commands. You just need to copy paste them, paste it into your terminal, press enter, if you do want to install all of them. It just gives you a rough introduction into how to install packages, how to set things up, etc. Yeah, for example, gaming 101, install the Vulkan drivers. And in additional, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel GPU, depending additional software. It's a way simplified version of the Arch Wiki, which I will show you later on, but it's a great, amazing starting point. So my first recommendation would be, before you do anything, go to this wiki page here and check everything out you want to know, you want to see. Because, this will be extremely important. Now, you might think, it's really a bit overwhelming with all different functions, and I just want to install some basic applications without going for all the hoops of finding out how to install them. And there is an easy way for you, and that is, you open the terminal, you type in sudo pacman -s and then discover. What is discover? You will see in a second. Press enter, so it will install it, and then you can press either the Windows Home key or just bottom left and search for discover. Okay, we need to enable Flatpak first, okay. Sudo pacman -s Flatpak. Flatpaks are an amazing tool. In the description you can find a video about them, what Flatpaks are, why they are so amazing. I do not want to get this video to get off track here. And now that we have installed Flatpak, all the needed configurations were being made. It will just take some time to load. And here you have discover the Arch, not the Arch Store, the App Store. Do you want to install the VLC player? Install. Do you want to install GNU image manipulation program? Just GNU. So it gives you a way easy and accessible way of installing and uninstalling packages on your system. And this would be, I would say, your primary source of, programs, apps, functionalities, etc. There's the different subcategories for bureau, for gaming, for multimedia, for learning, for internet surfing, blah blah blah. So you're not limited in any way. So let's clear it up again. I've said, EndeavorsOS is Arch based. So even though it's a simplified version of Arch, it is still in its fundamentals Arch Linux through and through. So what I mean with this is, go to FS tab, for example, sudo nano, again, sudo run the following program as administrator. Nano is a text editor basically. And then go to etc fs tab. And here you have listed, because I'm working with ButterFS, you have your root drive storage on which the operating system itself is installed on. The different kind of ButterFS sub-volumes here listed, and you can modify the compression, for example, if you would want, but I've made a video about it in the description, you can find it. I do not wanna completely destroy the length of this video here. And with Control O, you save, let me just show you. With Control O, you save the current configuration. I mean, I didn't change anything, so nothing of relevance was saved here. And then press Control X to leave the editor, to come back to the basic menu. Now, the first configuration you might want to make is, are you working with multiple hard drives? Are you working with external HDDs, external SSDs? What you need to do, sudo pacman -s gnome disk utility. And then with disks, it's the name of the program, you come to this menu here. In the description you can find a video of mine in which I've talked about working with multiple external drives, setting these up with exactly this program here. So I will not cover it in this video. If you want to find out how to work with this multiple drive and perma-mount them into your system, watch this video in the description. Because if you're working with audio samples or Steam game libraries, which you do not want to have stored on your local drive, but external ones, this program would be extremely important. Now you can do this directly in the FS tab, but it's not my first choice, and this program makes it way easier for you to make the configurations here. So we are working with ButterFS. So let's make it a bit smaller here. And the thing is, we are having one problem, you might say, and that is we are working on an Arch-based system, which means that you will always get the newest packages, the newest updates, etc., which means, yeah, if you're working, if you're performance optimized and, want the newest updates, etc., distros like this will be extremely useful to you. But there is this problem that the system might crash or that some problematic updates come up because there's not immense, checkup of stability. So this is a risk you would have with Linux distros like this one. It's not really something that happens all the time. I just want you to be aware of it. But again, I've said previously, we are working with BudFS. Why am I continuously mentioning this? Because what we are now going to do is install a program called Timeshift. Sudo pacman -s to install Timeshift. Timeshift is a system backup tool, which makes system backups, obviously. But we are also going to install another package, an extension of Timeshift, which makes these backups automatically whenever you make a system update. And in order to do this, we need to install Timeshift AutoSnap. And I will just show you what's going to happen now. We type sudo pacman -s Timeshift AutoSnap. And this package could not be found. Why is this the case? Because via the pacman command here we are accessing the official Arch repository, which is made by the developers, etc. Good and fine. But this program here, Timeshift AutoSnap, is not in the official Arch repositories. So where else can we find it? In the Arch user repositories or in the famous AUR. And how are we going to do this? We just delete pacman and sudo and replace it with yay -s Timeshift AutoSnap. And then press enter. So now we've installed this extension. Okay, now open, go to the bottom left or press the Windows Home key and search for Timeshift. And you can choose between a snapshot type, between rsync and BudFS. This option is only available to us because we are using the BudFS file system storage type and not ext4. Rsync is also way slower and the backups are taking up way more space, which is not good. So we use BudFS, then the local hard drive on which we want to store them. And here you can choose how often they should happen. Should these backups happen at system start, per hour, per day, and how many should be kept. So to keep 5, by the 6th updates, the latest one will be deleted, and yada yada. You can increase it, decrease it, add whatever you want. Then continue. Then add subdrive the add home in the backups. You can enable this, disable this. Depends on your personal preference. I'm not going to enable this here. And then we can end it here. And let's press create. And you can see how quickly this backup was made. The snapshot here. With rsync, you would most likely wait 2 minutes. So just for you to get a rough understanding of how big a difference. I mean, it depends on the setup, of course, but yeah. So And as you can see, the installation process is really minimal. I mean, I've just had 30 gigabytes, I think, of total usage. Of course, in my case, it's really full. But, you know, it's typically Arch Linux fashion, minimal installation. And you only install those packages you want to install in addition to this. Now, what I want to cover, desktop environments in the EndeavorsOS Wiki page. Desktop environments. And here you can see GNOME desktop, etc. Now, for example, you want to install the GNOME desktop in addition to the KDE desktop. Now, EndeavorsOS Wiki is a great starting point if you want to learn EndeavorsOS, get into the Arch environment, let's just say. But, you know, it's oversimplified, really basic, good introduction. But if you want to get more into the details, what you need is the Arch Wiki. So do not translate this page. And here you can see, for example, I want to install GNOME. So you can see now the installation, 2 package groups are available. And what you can do just is take the blue marked text, just okay, copy it and say sudo pacman -s, copy it in. Okay, now sudo pacman -s GNOME, enter your password, and that's how easy it is to find packages to install. It's via the blue marked here. Again, it's an oversimplification on my end, of course. I just want to give you a rough introduction in the entire environment here. So let me just take some... Can we find one? Ah, perfectly. So let's just wait until the installation is finished. So the Arch Wiki will show you what commands should you put in the terminal, what packages do you need to install. The Arch Wiki is one of the best documented wiki pages ever. One of them. And I really wish that NixOS would come close to it, but yeah, that's a different topic here. Now, so here you can see, now you can say so install this package, and so, you know, GNOME can start either graphically, what do you need to look out for, etc. But you know, you install different packages here. I'm just jumping over these here now because here you have, oh, where was it? Exactly, the extension manager, and here you have AUR on top. Because in order to install this one here, so the extends, clear it. If you are trying to install it via Pacman, it could not be found. Because again, you have here standing Jesus, it was a bit too big now. Oh Jesus, where was it? Extension Manager AUR, which means it's not in the official repository, but in the AUR, the Arch User Repository, which thereby means you need to use yay. So when you see a package here and you cannot install it via Pacman, you need to use this command here. Now, there's something I really want to mention here. Because via the official packages, the packages you install via sudo pacman, it's not really problematic. So, Pacman commands to install packages from the official Arch repository. And these are basically... And these are not really problematic in no way. So you can install these packages without any worry, basically. The thing is, on the other hand, with the yay command, you install packages from the AUR, which is the Arch user repository, which is other Arch Linux user providing their own packages for everyone else to use. Which thereby means that they are not as stable as the official packages are. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if you need to install packages from the Arch user repository, from the AUR, via the yay command, be more careful. Don't go on and install everything you see. Because if you install way too many yay -s packages, you can really brick your system, cause system crashes, etc. In the worst cases, of course, but I do not want to terrify you, I just want you to get an awareness of it. For example, yeah, if you want to install Steam, for example, to play video games, Arch Wiki, type in Steam, popular game distribution, powered by Valve, and it shows you all the different stuff. You need to install the multilib library, what it is, how it is done, and it gives you a great overview. And what's important to know is EndeavorsOS is just basically Arch simplified, which means that if you are stumbling across some problems, some bugs, etc., the Arch Wiki, or just say, Arch Linux error, blah 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 version, or this certain error, and most likely there will be someone who has a solution for you. Again, EndeavorsOS is Arch-based. Arch Linux is not really what I would consider a complete beginner-friendly Linux distro. You can use it as a complete beginner. It will be a bigger hurdle for you. It's not something impossible to work with. I just want to get for you to know it is more an advanced Linux distro. And if you are the type of user that just wants to install a operating system and everything is pre-installed, Arch Linux, EndeavorsOS and etc. are not for you. But if you want to have an operating system absolutely tailored to every need of you and to have a minimal installation and only install packages you want to have installed, EndeavorsOS would be a great start for you. So it's more, again, how I've like to say is, there is a Linux distro for each use case and for each kind of user. Because someone says, Arch Linux is perfectly for me. I can modify it to my heart's desire and I have no limitations. Another one says it's way too complicated, everything needs to be installed and configured, it's so confusing, it's not for me. So it depends more on what kind of user you are. And yeah, this is basically a rough introduction into EndeavorsOS to get a closer look in how you can operate with it. And yeah, and again, in the comment section you can find some commands, how they work, how you can operate with them, etc. It's a rough introduction to this entire setup, to an entire environment, of course, and it definitely deserves multiple videos, but just for you to get a good starting point. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was kinda helpful. Keep working, because there's still much to do, and go read Berserk.